Hey guys, this is Zimmy from Spent Cases, and today we're going to be covering how to put an aftermarket or a Glock factory connector bar into your gun. So, a few things first from the legal department, as it were. Obviously, you need to make sure your weapon is completely safe before you attempt any kind of modification or other type of work. Obviously, this particular pistol is in no shape to shoot right now. It is safe and cleared before the camera started. So always safety first. Number two, taking your pistol down beyond what you see here, which is considered to be field stripped, which is where you have the slide basically taken apart. It's not in this case, but the slide's off. You can clean the slide and you clean the inside of the frame from what you can see. That's field stripped. Anything beyond that, especially changing parts, will void your manufacturer's warranty. Just so you're aware. And number three, Spent Cases is not going to be responsible for any damage caused to you or your firearm due to poor installation or other issues arising from installing your connector bar. So last but not least, highly advise you not carry a modified gun as a primary carry gun. However, if you choose to do so, please make sure you do extensive firing just for testing purposes to make sure that it works. So, okay, first things first. You need to get the gun completely taken apart so you can get the trigger assembly. So there's 3 pins. There's one here, and one here, which I'll show you in better detail here in just a second. We're going to take these pins and push them out. Okay, now those two came from right here and right here, which is not coming through too terribly well. There you go. Right there is one, right there is one. You just push them through. In the back here, there's a little small pin that the grip frame, that the back straps use to adjust with, or to replace. Push that out too. I'm going to take these 3 pins and we're going to set them aside. Those are called your frame pins. Now, the next thing you're going to do is take this locking block right here, this metal sort of fork looking contraption, and just put your Glock tool in it and lift up, use like a pry bar almost. And this little guy will come right out. And I just flung it across the room, so give me 1 second. That was suboptimal for video recording. This is your locking block. And it should not normally fly out like that. That was a slip of the hand there. So, next there's a slide release right here you're going to take out. And we're going to go over how to put that back in properly here in just a second. Now, you are completely disassembled at this point. All you're lacking is to get the actual trigger assembly out, which is actually the easiest part of this entire operation. All you do is take your handy-dandy Glock tool, hook it under this little metal lip here, which if you're unfamiliar with it is actually the ejector. So you're going to take this and lift, and basically the entire whole of that's going to pop right out, and then you just lift it out. And this is the part we're concerned with. Okay, now you have a stripped frame. Basically there's nothing left in here other than a slide release, or excuse me, a mag release, which you can reverse to the other side on Gen 4 guns if you had any interest in doing so. So once you have this far apart, again, this is the piece we're concerned with. If you look over here, this little silver piece right here is the connector. So what you're going to do, this top piece here is called the cruciform. You're going to pull the cruciform forward and rotate it out. And it's going to spring loose from this whole entire contraption here. It's attached by a little coil spring. Again, this silver ball right here is what we're changing, the connector. Which if you have one in your hands, it will look familiar. The next one, I mean. So on the back side of this, if this comes through on the camera at all, there's a little hole right here, which oddly enough is exactly the same size as a Glock tool. All you do is put your Glock tool in this hole and press, and the connector bar falls right out. So now you have your trigger assembly and your connector bar disassembled. So we're going to get the new one from over here. Now, putting it back together is fairly simple, although it could be complicated if you try to do it in any kind of order other than this one. So, or other than actual reverse engineering order. So all you need to do is start the connector bar into the hole just a little bit. Once it's started, you reseat the cruciform, which you do by pulling it down in here and rotating it back out the same way it was in before. And it's going to hook on the connector bar like that. All you do is push the connector in and then seat the cruciform. And that's it. You've just changed your Glock connector bar. Now, 2 things to be aware of. You need to make sure that the trigger bar is on the outside of the connector bar in relation to the trigger assembly, otherwise you cause yourself some problems. So, now we're going to cover putting the pistol back together if you've never done that before. Basically, you're going to take and reseat the trigger assembly, which involves the trigger first. And I apologize, the lighting's kind of bad. Just going to kind of push it back in there. It can only go in one way and seat fully, so you're going to just play with it until you get there. At this point, you can go ahead and put the rear frame pin back in. It will help you later to keep everything kind of evenly on it, from sliding around on you. So just slide that in until it's seated properly, which you probably can see right there. Okay, next you're going to take the locking block and reinsert the locking block. So it goes in with, if the gun's facing forward, it goes in also facing forward like that. You're just going to push it down. Now, this is one of the things with the Glock that you have to do properly, otherwise you're going to have malfunctions. The slide release has got to be underneath the frame pin in the top, which, if I get this to line up, is the one up here. This little spring has got to be underneath that bar, and there's one good way to ensure that, which is to take the top pin and put it in first. So, I'm going to show you now, once that's installed, what I'm talking about. The top frame pin, as you can see here, is now in the gun, or in the frame, excuse me. You're going to take the slide release and insert it right here on the left of the trigger, and it falls in a little hole that was meant for it. Now, you are guaranteed at this point, because of the design of this, that that spring is now underneath like this. If I can show you. The spring is underneath like that, the frame pin. What it's basically doing is causing it to function properly rather than randomly locking open the slide while firing. So again, insert that to the left of the trigger. Then you're going to take the third and final frame pin and reseat it. And just be aware that it may take you a couple tries. Sometimes they're a little bit finicky. Oh, there you go, went perfectly from that side. So, until it clicks. Basically, you've reassembled your frame now, and you're done. The connector bar has been reinstalled. All you'll do to check for functionality at this point is reassemble the pistol. Once again, make sure I line that up before I put it in sideways there. Reassemble the pistol, and make sure that it's clear before you do any testing. Empty chamber, no magazine. Once you've reassembled the pistol, just give the trigger a try. Perfect. That was a 3.5 pound connector that went in there, so this trigger is going to be a little bit lighter. But basically, that's it. You have now installed a Glock connector. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Anybody with questions, feel free to post in the comment section, and we'll try to help you out as best we can. Once again, please be aware that we can't be responsible for any damage or anything else occurring due to the installation or following of this particular guide. So once again, thanks for stopping by. This was Zimmy from Spent Cases.